In Part 2 of Get Hooked on Phonics, we will discuss the alphabetic principle, consonants, vowels, and their sounds and orthographic or spelling patterns. As we know, phonological and phonemic awareness includes all types of tasks where children are involved in playing with sounds, such as alliteration, detecting and producing rhyming words, blending and segmenting compound words, multisyllabic words, onsets and rhymes, and individual phonemes, and substituting, deleting, and manipulating phonemes. As children begin to demonstrate an understanding and use of the previous components, letter-sound relationships become an important area of instruction. Much of this understanding is built in the activities mentioned earlier. As children see you read, they begin to recognize that those squiggles and lines keep reappearing, that they are grouped together to make words. They might begin to notice that certain letters, especially at the beginning of words, seem to make the same sound, and some children begin to even link a spoken word with the letters used to make that word. All these discoveries form the foundation for the alphabetic principle. The alphabetic principle hinges on two components, phonemes and graphemes. One confusing part about our language, as we have said before, is that multiple letters can be used to represent a single sound. Say each word and listen for the different sounds within that word. Then place slash marks to separate the graphemes that represent each sound. Use the next slide to check your work. You will be doing the same task with the different words on the alphabetic survey test at the end of the week. Remember all that work you did with phonemic awareness with segmenting words into their individual sounds? That is the same first step that you had to take with this task. Next, you had to decide which letters went with which sound. As a proficient reader and speller and writer, you've learned along the way that the letter sequence EIGH can make the long A sound, as in ate and slay and wait. You know that the vowel plus R, or R-controlled vowel sound, can be made with the letters IR. You've learned that TH makes the th sound. Based on your knowledge of phonics and morphology, you know that the sequence ED, when used as an ending, is to show past tense, can make three different sounds, d, as in the case of planned, the t sound in asked, and the ed sound in wanted. But no matter which sound you hear, you still need to use ED. These are all bits of knowledge about phonemes and graphemes that children will be learning through phonics instruction. Essentially, by using phonics, children are learning to decipher or break this alphabetic code. So, how complicated can that be? As you know, letters between two slashes represents a sound. Here are the principal consonant sounds and the single letter and letter combinations that can make them. Here are the most common terms used in reference to consonants. As you can see, in the case of hard and soft sounds for C and G, these letters are usually followed by the vowels E, I, or Y to make the soft sound. If followed by a consonant or A, O, or U, then they make the hard sound. Of course, there are always exceptions. For example, I follows G in each of these words, but it doesn't always give G the soft J sound. G is soft in giraffe and giant, but not in give or gills. C and G are examples of consonants that can make more than one sound. It's important to know the difference also between consonant digraphs and consonant blends. With blends, you hear each of the consonant sounds. It's like having a marble cake, where the chocolate and vanilla batter has been swirled or blended together so that when it bakes, you can still see each component. In the case of blends, though, you hear each component. Consonant digraphs, though, are comprised of two or three adjacent consonants that make a single sound. This information about consonant terminology will be on the alphabetic survey test. As you know, the morpheme graph always refers to some sort of written or visual symbol. So, as we just learned, a consonant digraph then are two or three letters that make one sound. In some cases, the digraph makes a totally unique sound, such as the th making the th sound in this, or the tch and ch making the ch sound in church and watch. In other cases, you might hear only one of the consonants, and the other sound is silent, as in the kn in knee, or the ck in duck. We don't say the k sound twice and pronounce it as duck. We say the k sound just once, so either the c or the k is silent, your choice. The third type of digraph involves two letters that make an entirely different consonant sound than any letter used to represent that sound. What young reader would ever guess that ph makes the f sound in phone, or that gh also makes the f sound, as in graph? Information on this slide will be very helpful when completing the alphabetic survey test. These are the basic vowel sounds and letter patterns or sequences, in most cases, that are used to represent each sound. Children must have a good working knowledge of this orthography. For example, they need to know that there are several ways to make the long O sound when writing. O by itself might be used, or OA, OE, OW, or O blank E patterns can also be used. By the same token, when they encounter a word with any of these patterns, they have to be able to recognize that the patterns make the long O sound. No wonder learning to read and spell can be so challenging. In comparison to vowels, consonants are pretty straightforward. Vowels, on the other hand, can be mind-boggling for young readers, and it often takes several years to master them completely. Vowels can basically be divided into 5 areas. Earlier we mentioned that one of the layers governing sound symbol association are patterns. Short vowels are usually found in a vowel consonant, VC, or CVC, or consonant-vowel consonant pattern in a syllable. A CVC pattern can be seen in cat or in blast. The basic CVC pattern is still there in the LAS. The additional B and the T don't change the influence of this pattern on the short vowel sound. In a 2-syllable word like picnic, there is a CVC pattern for each syllable, and each syllable is a short vowel. In the word insect, the first syllable is just VC, or vowel consonant, and is short, while the CVC pattern is in the second syllable, making this sound short also. The long vowel sound usually occurs in syllables with a consonant-vowel consonant final E pattern, or CVCE pattern, such as ape, or stage, or pavement. But a single vowel at the end of a syllable can also make a long vowel sound, as in the words me, go, and began. These are called open syllables and have a consonant-vowel pattern. When a consonant closes in that syllable, the vowel takes on a short sound following the CVC, or consonant-vowel consonant pattern. The CVC pattern is a closed syllable, as in the second syllable of gan in began. Vowel digraphs are similar to consonant digraphs in that 2 adjacent letters make a single sound, which is usually a long sound, as the AI in male, or the OA in oats, or the EA in wheat. But can also make a short sound, like the EA in bread. So you can see that there are exceptions to the old adage, when 2 vowels go walking, the first one does the talking. Diphthongs produce 2 vowel sounds, but one slides into the second, as the oi in boy, or the ow in house, and ow in now. The schwa vowel sound is always heard in an unstressed syllable, and as said earlier, has a short U or I sound. R-controlled vowels can have 2 categories of sounds, as discussed on the next slide. As you can see, there are 2 categories for R-controlled vowels. Those that create a new vowel sound, as with ER, IR, and UR, and those that alter or influence the vowel sound, as in AR and OR. Many times, the vowels plus R that make the sound can be taught together, and the AR and the OR taught separately. The vowel plus R can take considerable time to master. Meanwhile, you might find children transposing these two letters when decoding and spelling R-controlled words. This information will be needed for the alphabetic survey test. Just a word to the wise. The letters L and W can also control vowel sounds, especially in the case of the vowel A, and give it the AW sound. This information will also be needed for the alphabetic survey test. We've covered a lot, so let's take a break.